All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for the next episode of the Big Nano Tech-Show. Welcome, everybody. Today, we have a really great show for you. We're going to be talking about breaking into tech. Hope you guys brought all your tools, your hammers and everything, and maybe a face mask. And we're also going to be talking about a little bit about startups. Without further ado, I'm going to start off the show with a very special guest who has been on with us before, Victor Moreno of AWS. I'm so excited to have him on. He is known as the Coding Teacher on YouTube. So guys, check him out on YouTube, the Coding Teacher. He's also got a really great book out all about interview preparation called The Interviewer's Guide. Let me get that right. The Software Engineer's Interviewer's Survival Guide. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. I always mess that up every time. So sorry about that, Victor. But I'm going to let you right in here.
Cool.
All right.
How's it going, Gabriel?
Great to see you again. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about startups, because I know you're a CTO, a fractional CTO in the past, and so those guys know everything about everything. So, and you know all about startups, and I know it can be like, for somebody who's starting up a new company, they may have a vision of what they want to do, but then it might change, or, so tell us a little bit about that, like your experience and your advice to anybody who might be thinking about starting up. What are the steps you can do and to make it a little bit more easier, maybe save money, save time?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start off by talking about the context that I'm coming from, right? And the startups that I've helped launch have all been from non-technical people. And I think, if this advice probably that I'm going to give probably doesn't apply to people that live in Silicon Valley, or, if you're in a time where VC money is plentiful and you've already worked in tech, and this advice applies for people outside those tech hubs. With like a traditional background. Everybody, dreams about, or I don't know everybody, but lots of people dream about starting their own tech company and what have you. And I think the most common pitfall is just underestimating how difficult it is. Everybody thinks that they have an idea. They've run the idea by a couple of friends. They're going to launch the app, and then, okay, they're going to be the next Zuckerberg within a few weeks. And especially now, like the competition is so steep in everything, like direct to consumer apps, B2B SaaS apps. The competition is so steep that like it really takes a lot of effort to even put the app in the hands of people. So I would say that like you definitely need to have a distribution strategy in mind already, right? Don't just have an idea. Have a reason to believe that you can get that app in thousands of hands. That's step one. If it's a direct to consumer app. If not, then there's a bunch of viable strategies. Like maybe you're a mortgage broker. You have your own mortgage broker company, and you can create an app. You notice that, like, I don't know, like your payroll software does something poorly for mortgage brokers, something like that. And you can create an app that's like a plugin into QuickBooks or something like that. And you can start there. So start with something that you can use is a super viable strategy. Or start with partners, with launch partners. So let's say a famous story that goes like this is the story of the startup Drip, which was kind of like a micro MailChimp type of thing. And they launched, directly to $7,000 in monthly recurring revenue by just having a bunch of launch partners. So they developed the app in concert with like a bunch of businesses who were using it and giving them feedback. And they spent like a year doing that and collecting emails. And then when they launched, they had a bunch of signups on the first day. And it was like a successful launch after spending like a year developing the app very iteratively and with those launch partners and the needs of those launch partners in mind. So all of that is to say, the main thing you want to avoid is investing a lot of time, effort, and money into launching something that people don't need.
Right. Yeah, perfect idea. Like, yeah, get a bunch of people who are just going to use it right off the bat, but they need. I mean, that's the best way to think about, an app. You have this idea, but something that you would use yourself every day, right? And your friends. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And like, what's your experience just with the people who come in that mindset of they don't know anything about tech or whatnot, and they want to hire a bunch of people. I mean, do you need to know something about it, or is it better? Maybe it's better not to know, and then you got the more visionary idea, or what's your experience?
No, my experience is it's way better to know. Like that whole thing, not having those mental models uninhibits you. That's kind of like saying, because what people don't realize is that it's a competition. So it's a competition with every other app out there, right? And for the distribution channel too. It's a competition for eyeballs. It's a competition for social media attention. It's a competition for rankings in the App Store. So getting into it like without zero tech experience is kind of like trying to pick a fight with a UFC fighter, never having even been in a dojo. It's like, oh, that's not gonna go well, man.
Right, right, exactly.
There's a bunch of best practices and techniques and things that they do that they're really good at. They're gonna crush you, man.
Right. So really do your homework, get to know all the design work, right? Like to architect something. It's good to like to know how because there's so many tools like that are better than other tools, right? That I could do the job, but maybe there's other. So that's why you guys they hire guys like you, right?
But I'm not even thinking about the tech so much. I'm thinking about like the operational aspect of launching the product and the iterating into product market fit aspect. Like you want to validate ideas as fast as possible. And the trap that people without tech experience fall into is, okay, I have this really good idea. It's really grand. They take this very waterfall process where they'll hire a designer. The designer makes them like 170 screens, and they have this vision for like a project management for home remodeling app, 170 screens. Now they go to a dev shop, and like the dev shop gives them $150,000 estimate. And it's like, no, dude, no. Put up a landing page, $500. Design a beautiful, awesome landing page. 500 more bucks, get a copywriter to write awesome copy on that landing page. And then see if people actually want to sign up for an email list for that, home improvement project management thing that you're trying to build. Like spend $1,000 and prove that you can actually get people to want it before you spend 150 grand.
Exactly.
It's not even like about the tech. It's about the execution of the tech business.
Exactly. And I think your whole philosophy, about keeping things simple, I think it just could be applied for almost anything, right?
Yeah.
Like when Google came up with Google, right? It's just like, I mean, you can't think of anything more simple than that, right? Just one line.
Yeah. They had a lot of complexity under the hood. They're an interesting story. Like I would say that they're an outlier because they had a lot of complexity under the hood. It was these two like super mega genius PhD dudes that invented a new paradigm for ranking search results. So they started using backlinks and keyword density and all these things that nobody had used before. So they basically, I guess what they discovered is that, hey, look, nobody cares about all the other crap around the search, like the news and the widgets and the this and that. Nobody cares about that. People just want relevant results. And they didn't do any of the other stuff that other players were doing, and they just focused on the actual value proposition of a search engine, and freaking rest is history.
I know, right? But it's so genius yet so simple, and so like nobody's doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like and I feel like Ask Jeeves is like, I was thinking about that the other day. Ask Jeeves is almost like Chat GPT. Like, I mean, he had the same idea, right? But I don't know what happened to Ask Jeeves, but.
Yeah, but that's another good example of like, it was meant to be like a more conversational search engine, but then ChatGPT came, and it's still the same idea. Like, let's make it really simple, let's make it conversational, but the execution of ChatGPT is like, dude, like 100,000 times better. So and that creates success too.
It's like VR for search engines.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk a little bit about breaking into tech too, because I got some other guests coming on. One guy, Bogdan, he's from Romania, and he wrote a book called The Scaling Blueprint. And he's going to be talking about that. And then I got another developer talking about breaking into tech. And so what are your, one of his videos, which I thought was great, was like how to get experience without any experience. So I was wondering if you could help us out with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely super interested in what Eric has to say. I think that a lot of the stuff that he says is great. And so especially right now with times being as tough as they are, dude, I think it's really important to get creative and try to get into a tech adjacent job where you can, like, a lot of people talk about side projects and build a portfolio and whatever. When are you doing that, dude? Like your nights and weekends, right? So if you're going to sacrifice your nights and weekends anyway, right? Why do it for a little toy project just for your portfolio when you can be working at a company where it's a tech company? Maybe your role is not tech, but it's tech adjacent. Maybe you can build something for that company that they can use to solve a problem for them, to, you know, help them streamline some operation, help them automate some complex, annoying process, something like that. That's much more valuable than a portfolio entry. So, like, you know, obviously, you know, you don't always have these opportunities, but if you do, if you can get into even a college, you work at a college as a financial aid officer or whatever, make him a new website, make him an online application portal, make him stuff like that to help the business that you can showcase. And you're basically stealing work experience. Look, I built this thing, I built this web system for this company, and I maintained it for a year, and people are using it. Real people are using it. It's not a ghost little app in my portfolio. So that gives you a lot of credibility. And that's the strategy that I used, like, in the beginning of my career to break back into tech, because I kind of like got kicked out of tech in the 2008 after the aftermath of the 2008 crisis. And I used that strategy to get back into tech. So the first job that I found was as a network admin. And I kind of like started doing that little by little and stealing work experience until I was back as a software engineer.
Right. Oh, sweet. Yeah. That's, you know, there's so many different strategies too. Like, just even to connect on LinkedIn with other developers, and, or even if there's some meetups, or, you know, and also there's startup, right? There's startup people looking for, they don't have any money or whatever. They got this crazy idea, and you don't have a job, and you're like, hey, well, I can maybe get experience with you somehow, you know?
Yeah. And connecting with other people is super underrated too. Like, peer learning is, at least for me, you know, like I like talking to people. So peer learning is such an underrated way to learn. Like, you can ask the questions. Like, you can't yet ask questions of a book. Like, you're reading a book and sometimes it's tedious, sometimes you don't understand anything. You can't ask clarifying questions. When you're having a conversation with another developer, not only are they telling you about a real life problem that they face scaling a real world system, you can ask them, hey, look, why did you choose to do that? Why what else did you consider? And you can build a lot of knowledge that way. And yeah, I think it's super underrated, networking and talking to other engineers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people don't even think of it, but that's why I like LinkedIn so much. I feel like there's not another platform like them. I don't. They're so big, you know, they don't need any more PR. But honestly, I do appreciate it. But anyway, about your book. Let's talk a little bit about your book, The Software Engineer's Survival Guide.
Yeah, so I wrote that book with my co-author, Zach, because I thought that all the interview prep books that tackle the data structures and algorithms side of things, they were like too pedantic, too mathy. You know, they're using like epsilon and delta notation and stuff like that. And the truth is that nobody thinks like that. Like, I solve recursion problems all the time, and I solve, you know, runtime complexity problems all the time. And I never really think about, you know, big O in terms of like the epsilon and the omega. Like, I never think about those math equations. And because I never think of that when I'm doing the job, I don't think they're necessary in the explanation. I try to help people create mental models with simpler language, and also teach a little bit about like what the process should be of learning, like, because it's a thing that you have to practice for a long time before you actually get good at it. And by a long time, I mean, like, if you try to cram it, it's not going to be effective. So it's better to do just small chunks over a long time, and then you won't have to keep re-cramming every time that you're going to look for a job. So yeah, I tried to write a book for like the book that I wish I had, you know, when I was getting into interview prep.
Right. That's the best way to do it. Like, create the app that you wish you had, write the book that you wish you had. Exactly. I mean, you know, you got to think of the journey that you're going through, and try to be useful, and all the stuff that you're talking about is so useful for everybody. You know, even I'm just like, you know, excited about it.
Thanks.
So Victor, we're about up to 15 minutes. So I got some other guests getting ready to go, but tell everybody where they can get your book.
Well, millionairecodersclub.com. There's a link there to Gumroad. You can get it there. Also, follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube.
Okay. And everybody, he's the coding teacher, right, on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Victor. Hope to get you on next time too. All right. Take care.